you expect 5 to 10% for your strategy next year, but it's not going to be the case across Australia. It's not going to be this broad-based, you buy a property and it's safe investment. Can you talk about that? And also you mentioned interest rates. Right now we're at our record lows. Where do you think that's going to go and the effects on the market?
Sure. So the main thing that I worry about is CBDs, because there's no limit of supply. So you go to Hong Kong, Singapore, New York, all these cities, and there's just massive skyscrapers. And so technically there's no limit to supply in a CBD. There's a limit to how many people actually want to rent there or live there. And so you've got it completely the wrong way around. Whereas when you're 5 to 15 k's from the CBD, you've got 3-story height limits, all the properties are next to each other. And so you've got no supply and lots of demand. That's the way you want it. So I think the biggest danger points is everyone's looking at Brisbane now, because there's thousands and thousands of apartments.
Oh, yeah.
And all the people that buy those are either the foreigners, because under our Foreign Investment Review Board, a foreigner can only buy brand new, which is great because it protects the average Aussie. And the other people that buy it are the speculators, because they're buying off the plan. They're thinking, I buy at today's price at 500, and when I settle in 2 years' time, it's 600. Whereas I think they're effectively buying at 600 grand today, and you're lucky if it's worth 6, the chances are it's worth 500. So it's actually the off the plan is completely upside down these days.
Definitely, and that was the webinar we gave just at the end of last year. I gave my 5 top tips for 2017, and one of them in property was actually that I think there's going to be an apartment crash. I'm not worried about the property market overall, but definitely just the apartments, there's too many. There's a flood of them there, and who's going to take them?
And so the kind of things that I do, so we're looking at potentially buying Brisbane, because for our clients, we're buying $1 million properties in Sydney. Not everyone can afford that, especially young people. So we're looking at as a plan B or a plan C to buy up in Brisbane at maybe 500 grand. But we're paying, say, 10 grand to get an independent report. So I know nothing about Brisbane. So I go to the experts, hire the experts. 10 grand's a lot of money, but it's not when you're spending 500 grand.
Spot on.
And their initial thought so far is stay well away from apartments. Sure, in a year or two, there may be blood on the streets, but even then I don't want to buy it, because I don't want something that's up and down. So that we think their strategy will be townhouses, maybe kind of 3 to 10 k's or something like that.
And we've definitely been looking at that as well. Like the actual dynamics for the Brisbane market is actually quite positive. There's a lot of new development happening up there. A lot of people are wanting to move up there, and I think there is a lot of opportunity, but we just need to make sure that you're going for the right purchase.
And again, that house and land thing. So I think the townhouses in between is who wants to live in a brand spanking new apartment right in the heart of Brisbane? Who wants to maybe be in a brand spanking new house that looks the same as everyone else's 20 or 30 k's out? So maybe the in-between thing for those interstate people moving up is a townhouse that's maybe 5 to 10 k's.
Brilliant.
But again, I stay out of it, and I pay the research company and say, you've got a carte blanche, you can do whatever you want. You tell me what your information says.
And I think, guys, this is a pretty big thing. We've got the property expert of Australia, and he still doesn't believe he knows enough about the Brisbane market. So it's an example of really using experts and making sure you have the research out there, because we really are inferior with our knowledge a lot of the time.
And look, not many people have got all the results. So I used to interview John Edwards from Residex on my show, and he would know the specific things about capital growth, but he might not know about renovations. And so I think it's like running a business. The MD or the CEO of the business, he's not the expert at everything, but he's got his marketing, accountant, sales, all of those people, and he makes the decision. And I think that's our role as investors. So on Sky, I think I've done maybe 350, 400 shows, but I get all the people I want to learn off. So I get the bank valuers in. How do you value a property? What do you like? What do you dislike? Then get the RP Data's, SQM Research, all of those guys. And then I just build my pool of knowledge just about interviewing those individual people. And most of them haven't got the results because they only know their little bit.
Definitely.